Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to this episode of our entertainment show. As you know, in part three of our entertainment show, each week we premiere new movies or TV series that are debuting here in Ireland and the UK, and especially here in Ireland where Irish eyes are smiling. And up for discussion this week is a blockbuster action movie that's coming our way on June the 29th. It's called Confidential Informant. It's got Lethal Weapon star, the one and only Mel Gibson, followed by, we all know him from Prison Break. We all know him, Irish descent, or Ireland's own Dominic Purcell stars in this movie as well, alongside Kate Bosworth, Nick Stahl, Ariel Racine, and our special guest this evening, the one and only Camila Savia, who plays the role of Maria. And Confidential Informant, Camila, how exciting was it for you to be part of this project, to be involved in this movie? Obviously, the list of names: Mel Gibson. Did you grow up as a Mel Gibson fan? Did you see your Lethal Weapons, or were you very much a girly girl? No, I can't be watching Mel Gibson break another guy's arm.
You know what's funny? Not too much of haven't watched too many Mel Gibson films, but watched a lot of Prison Break. I was obsessed with Prison Break, so to be able to share the screen with Dominic Purcell was just a once in a lifetime experience. It was an amazing experience for me. It was such an incredible experience and such an honor and privilege to work with such a professional and talented crew. These guys really know what they're doing, and to be able to work alongside them and kind of see how much work they put into their craft. And as we all know, there's some pretty big names in this film, and to be able to just be in that world with them was amazing. I feel very lucky.
And Camila, in terms of trying out for this project, when your talent agent and your audition said, listen, we got a role coming about for you in terms of this Maria character, were you aware of some of the names that were originally attached to this movie? Were you one of the last persons brought on board for this movie, or were you one of the first?
From my understanding, my agent obviously sent out the audition, and I submitted as I usually do, and I heard back fairly quickly. There wasn't a lot of information. It was confidential for
as in the name.
Exactly, right. So, and obviously I think that when there's a lot of big names attached to a film, they really want to keep things, they don't want too many things getting out, and especially in the beginning process, and then they go out with a bang, right? To let people know, like, this is a new film that's coming out. So no, I didn't really know too much. The character that I play in the film is Maria, as you mentioned, and she is the girlfriend of a drug dealer. Her entire character is very, very different than me, right? So I had to really put in the work and really, put myself out there, and I'm excited for you guys to see that on the screen. But Maria and Camila live two totally different lives, right? So for me to kind of get into her brain and kind of see how, how does she talk, walk, how does she even listen, and things like that, it was interesting.
And I imagine when you did your research, so you probably watched an awful lot of Narcos and probably series like that.
I watched a lot of these kinds of. I really enjoy TV shows and films like this. I mean, one of my favorite films is Goodfellas, and along the theme of that. So it was great to be able to get into that character in that role, and
yeah. And Camila, in terms of the shooting, in terms of production, location, where did you shoot this movie? Was it a long production? Were you a good time on set, and was it shot during COVID?
It was not shot during COVID, no, thankfully so. It was also shot around the United States and Canada. I can't speak for the rest of the cast, but my scene in particular was in Vancouver, and I was on set for a few days. So it was long, yes. I mean, depending on what your call time is and things like that. As you know, like films can vary, and you're gonna be there for some time. But yeah, that was my little
Yeah.
part
And
in.
yeah, and Camelia, obviously you're very much a successful model and a renowned model. And does that give you sort of confidence in terms of doing this sort of work, working alongside the likes of Mel, Dominic, sort of Purcell as well? Because I imagine when you're a model, you have to exuberate so much confidence in terms of catwalks, in terms of big, massive crowds, in terms of all different sort of outfits. So I is there a different sort of nervous anticipation when you have to say words and lines and for the big blockbuster Hollywood actors, or is it more easier, or is it dare I say more harder or intimidating rather than being a model? Do you feel more comfortable walking down a runway with a nightgown, or do you feel more comfortable standing and delivering sentence after sentence to Dominic Purcell?
The latter, I would say. I've always felt very confident on screen, on camera, and I've been modeling professionally since I was 19 years old. So I've been able to, experience the modeling world in Canada, the UK, as we were chatting about earlier, and Mexico City, and I'm very well versed in that world. So a lot of times I had modeling agents sort of ask me like, hey, you should be doing commercials, you should be doing things on screen, you should be, we see that in you. So that's kind of how I got into the acting. And being on set with such renowned actors is, of course, it's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm not very shy. I think when I'm initially meeting someone, I'm a little bit like, oh, this person is this, Dominic or Nick or whoever it is. But I keep things very professional, and honestly, being on set with them, it felt like I was on set with friends from the minute I was introduced to everyone. It was just so professional. So there was such a great flow. I think that what could be nerve-wracking is just being able to remember, your lines and being in character, right? Because sometimes it's easy to forget that, don't bring yourself, don't bring Camila, don't bring James. You got to bring you're being your character, right? If that makes sense. So you got to be able to separate those two.
Yeah. And mention about your character, Maria, being this wife of this sort of drug dealer. Had you any sort of an idea or picture in your head of how you wanted to play her? Did you want to play her as a strong, sort of fierce, determined woman? Did you want to show a sense of vulnerability in her? How did you want to bring her across on screen?
Right. So Maria is one of the girlfriends of one of the girlfriends of one of the drug dealers. And I, without saying too much, I think I brought a strong version of her. I think she's a very tough, she's been through a lot of things in life. And I think I created a strong version of her. So that's what I think you guys are going to be able to see.
Yeah, and obviously, judging from the trailer and not going too much in depth about it, Confidential Informant, it looks like an all-action type of movie. But is there sort of a bit of subtleness in it? Is there a bit of sort of moving scenes? Is it not all just gung-ho action from minute to start? Is there a more underlying sort of story involved? Do we get to see maybe the emotions of the characters play out, or is it an octane sort of roller coaster from start to finish?
Right. The film, it's a really great drama about one guy giving up his life for his friend. It's not your typical Mel Gibson action movie that we're sort of used to. It's a really great layered drama, like filled with twists and turns, and I'm just very excited for everyone to see it. And in terms of emotions, I mean, I think it's it's an emotional story about a man laying down his life for a friend. Yeah.
And Camelia, what was it like working under the producer, the director for this film in terms of guidance in what he was able to give you in terms of his vision? Did he allow you to be creative in your role, a bit of spontaneity? Did he allow a bit of improv in terms of your role? Was there certain ideas that you might had about your character that you're able to touch base with him in terms of that?
Definitely, yes. The entire production, from cast, crew, everyone that was involved was extremely professional. You know, very open to ideas, and a very collaborative team. I feel very honored and privileged that, you know, I got to share the screen alongside Dominic Purcell and Nick Stahl, and the feedback that I got from them was just incredible, and it really instilled in me that it was a great reminder for me to keep going, and you know, because sometimes you can get a little bit in your head, like, oh, like, did I perform well, and okay, you know, can we do this better? You know, and as an actor, you do have these sorts of doubts, but to have this reassurance from everyone involved, even from the second I left set, that the guy was, okay, Camila, it's a wrap. And it's like, you did amazing. I had people coming from, you know, out of nowhere as I was just heading out, and just, you know, giving me these great reaffirmations was incredible, right?
Yeah.
Very collaborative team, very open to ideas, and it's why the film is what it is. And
Yeah.
I think
And
you guys are
Camelia, have you, was once the movie was sort of shot, did you have your own private screen casting for the cast members, or did you have your premiere or launch as a cast yet, or is that still to come?
I'm not too sure about that. I wish I had more info on what was going on. At the moment, I'm not too sure. I
No
just
problem.
know that the film is being released on the 27th. Super exciting. Yeah.
And Camelia, as well, I know before we come on air, you said it's a busy time for you. You're working in terms of other sort of projects in the works. How excited are you for the remainder of 2023 now, in terms of what's lays in store for Camila Savia?
I'm very excited. I have a few projects and things that I've dipped my toes in, so I can't speak on it too much. It's sometimes in this kind of industry, there's so many exciting things that you just want to share with everyone, and it's like, no, you can't. You got to wait for release dates and things like that, right? But yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunities and things that are coming out later this year, and just getting started.
And Camelia, I know obviously you're a two-pronged star in terms of the modeling and in terms of the acting. Are you basically centering your approach now for the next year or two around acting? Are you sort of delving and concentrating a bit more, or is it very much whatever the project comes your way in terms of delving out between both, or is there a particular focus now for Camelia Sevilla going forward?
Right. So as I mentioned earlier in our little
Yeah.
pre-convo, I do come from a pretty strong, extensive modeling background. And throughout that time, being able to travel and work for brands and you know, big brands and do a lot of commercial work, I started to figure out, okay, I'm hearing this a lot. I think I should give the acting a shot. So although I still am represented in the modeling industry, my primary focus is the acting, and I'm very grateful that I've been quite successful. You know, I've only been doing it for around approximately 3 years, and I've had some really great opportunities come through. So I take that as a sign to keep going, and my focus is to just keep training, keep working at my craft, getting my name out there, building that acting resume, the stamps on the passport, as I call them, and just focusing on that.
And Camelia, you're based at the moment in Vancouver, Canada, and Vancouver, Canada, we know is the home of sci-fi in terms of the sci-fi capital of the world. So many wonderful projects like Stargate, Battlestar Galactica, so much fantasy in terms of TV creations are. In terms of an actress, are you open to all genres aside from romance, horror, is comedy, sci-fi, being playing futuristic characters or aliens or different sorts of, does that all excite you, that sort of fantasy sort of world, in terms of what you can belay in terms of opportunities, or are you very much focused on a particular genre of acting, or are you open to everything?
I'm quite open. I've never been one to deny a role. Also because my agent does a very good job at sort of knowing what I should be going out for, right? So that's extremely helpful and amazing. But I'm super open. I would love to be, some sci-fi character, alien. I really also would love to play sort of a Harley Quinn sort of vibe, kind of, action kind of vibe. So we'll see. Little warrior action.
And Camila Savia, I know you've traveled all the world in terms of acting, and you spent some time in the UK, but obviously a recreational time going forward is important for any young woman as well, and visiting and seeing the world. And yeah, I know you come from your father's Argentinian descent, and you've probably seen a bit of that world. How excited are you to come back maybe to the UK and maybe take the next step now, and maybe an hour's flight over to Ireland, and maybe for St. Patrick's Day, and example the Irish sort of culture and the Irish crack, as the saying goes, and experience a different type of normality, dare I say?
I would sign me up. Let's start planning dates to get me there. Yeah, I love the UK. I spent a lot of time there. I lived there actually for quite a bit in terms of, on the modeling side. If an opportunity came up for acting, or, if we got, we're filming a movie down there, I would be so happy. But I think for the next little bit, my primary focus is the acting. I'm here, I'm based in Vancouver, and potentially, make a trip down to Ireland. Tokyo's on the list as well. That's a dream of mine. Hit up Tokyo, Japan. And yeah, just being able to balance, being able to have some balance in life is very important. So you work hard, you play hard. When the sun's out in Vancouver, like it is today, you go to the beach because we don't get sun.
Or you sit in a room having a conversation with me over a computer screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Camila Savia, a pleasure talking to you on the airwaves this evening. For me, Jim Conlan, talking about Confidential Informant, coming out on June the 29th in cinemas all across here in Ireland and the UK. Camila Savia plays the character Maria alongside Mel Gibson, Kate Bosworth, Dominic Purcell, Nick Stahl, and Ariel Racine. A pleasure talking to you, Camila. For me, Jim Conlan. Yeah, for me, Jim Conlan, an absolute pleasure talking to you on the airways. And as you said, it's a busy time for you. You've other projects coming up later on the year. Hopefully we can catch up again and speak sometime in the near future. But for the moment, stay safe, take care, God bless, and I'll see you in Ireland sometime soon.
You in Ireland soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Camila.